In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Unrestricted View. I'm Alan, your host today. Hope everyone's well. Joined today by Daniel and our good man Mark. So, Friday afternoon, and we're looking forward to a good weekend with Celtic playing hibs on Sunday. So, start off with you guys first. How are you, Mark? I spoke to you for a wee while. How are you getting on?
Hi, afternoon, everyone. Good to see everyone and yourself, Alan, as always. And Daniel, I think this is the first time I've been on with yourself, so a pleasure. So looking forward to it. Always like listening to you as well. And it's Friday afternoon. I'm in a good mood. It's been a good week, and we get to talk about the Celts and everything that's been going on. So, and see all the viewers' comments as well. Always like to listen to them and read them when I'm listening to the show too. So, all good here. Good to go.
Oh, that's fantastic. We'll go into the game during the week soon, but we'll speak to your good self just now, Daniel. How are you keeping? I know we spoke probably before kind of myself and Mark spoke last. So, how are you keeping? What was your thoughts on the other night? I know we heard that on Wednesday, but how are you feeling after there's been a few days that's went by and the dust has settled? What's your thoughts, mate?
Afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Good to be back on. Been a positive week, I'd say. Like Mark says, it's Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend and some more Celtic action. But I think my reaction's still the same. Slightly disappointed in the fact that we didn't actually manage to get the win, but I don't view it as a negative result. People can say that might be an entitled view or anything like that, but for me it's just a high standard, because we've seen over the last couple of years the calibre of team we can take on and give a good game. I felt that they were there for the taking and we never really clicked on in the chances that we had. But no, a point and a good start and a tough game away from home. So hopefully we can just build for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think I voiced my opinions on it yesterday. It was one of the ones that I think before the game that we've seen the kind of teams that have went there in the past. I think that the most kind of famous team that maybe turned over there was Liverpool. I think 2018 under Jurgen Klopp. But when we started watching the game, that's when I was thinking to myself, this team might be here for the taking. I thought if we played up to our kind of optimum, I thought that we might have deserved 3 points. But when you take it in kind of perspective, I think that a point away from home with our away record, it might be pretty decent. But obviously, we've no heard your thoughts on it, Mark. Did you enjoy the game? What was your thoughts on the kind of end result? Was it a good point, or were you feeling the same? What kind of was it? A point gained or 2 points dropped? Do you think?
Yeah, I think I was the same as yourself, Alan. Before the game, I would have taken a draw. I was quite apprehensive about the game, to be honest, because I think for what's happened in the last couple of weeks, I know the kind of the mood's kind of low in the club at the moment, just with the different situations. But the Europa is important, I think, with regards to reputation. And I was a bit apprehensive that if we got off to a bad start, then yeah, it doesn't look good for being a Champions League club last year. Quite competent Champions League club last year to get into Europa and not looking good and not getting a respectable result. However, actually, I thought we played all right. I thought we were good in possession, although we did lack that creativity, especially in the first half. Although I thought we looked okay in the ball. One thing this season I would say has been really good, I think maybe went a kind of miss, is our defensive capabilities. I think we look quite assured at the back. And I've got to mention Liam Scales as part of that. You know, he's been excellent so far this season. But if you look at the defence in general, we have been quite an assured team away from home, maybe apart from Villa last season. Obviously Dortmund earlier in the season, but we drew in Munich, we drew in Zagreb, Atalanta, and I know we didn't beat Almaty, but we didn't look like conceding. And then again, the other night, that team, they had a couple of chances, but we kept them kind of at range, and they never really created anything. And the goal, okay, the goal was pretty soft. I think it was avoidable, but by and large, defensively, I thought we were all right. However, middle to front wasn't great, but first 20 minutes of the second half, yeah, we brought in Kelechi and it made a big difference. I was speaking to JP about the number 9 role before that, and he was voicing his concerns about Dyson in that position. And I was kind of acknowledging his strengths, but you see the difference when somebody that come on, it can actually hold it up, and then his goal epitomises that kind of play. We've not had that number 9 for quite a wee bit of time, you know, and I think Dyson and even Ida had their attributes, but the ability to, you've seen it against Thistle as well, his layoff, you know, just that touch, that composure, and even some of his dropping on the ball in the game on Wednesday was really good. Just a different kind of element that it's brought us. And I thought the first 20 minutes, we had 3 get-out chances. We took one. The Tierney cut back should have been scored by Negren. And then the second Kelechi chance should have been put away. Somebody said the other night as well, maybe a couple of weeks, so we put no chances away. So with those opportunities and how the game finished, slightly aggrieved that we didn't take the 3 points. I thought the performance was okay, competent enough, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the side that there's a lot of new players middle to front. Even Negren, he's just coming into the side. He's a bit hit or miss at the moment, although he's got his assists. He does make an impact. His assist for the goal was excellent. And Tenetke was a bit quiet, but he's just coming into the side. He started really well, and Balak should come off the bench. Didn't really get a chance to make any real impression. But these guys are attacking players that hopefully will improve, and Kelechi obviously will get his fitness. I wasn't fully surprised that he didn't start, but obviously it's just a fitness thing. But he made a difference when he came on, so, and it looks good with him. Hopefully he can only get fitter and give us that kind of element up front. So yeah, so I thought it was a decent enough start, and we've got 2 home games now to kind of build on that, and you'd like to think if we can get 7 points in the bag for the first 3 games, it puts us in a really good position to hopefully have a really kind of fruitful Europa campaign. And I think it's important that we do. You know, everything to the side at the moment, just on the pitch, as a club reputation, and for the fans, you know, just to see how we can go. And we know other teams have done all right in this competition, so we need to show ourselves. No more excuses.
What was your thoughts on? I know we've discussed it kind of at length as well. We were all really impressed with how Colby Donovan's come in and made an impact across that defence. I think it's common thought between the Celtic fans that we have looked pretty reassured across the back this start of the season. It's more the attacking options that's maybe no came to the fore. But I thought that we've all said Colby Donovan come in, done fantastically well. Maybe he's only been in a couple of games, just kind of hold back sometimes these emotions that we're thinking that he's got to be the next Kieran Tierney. But I thought he looked very assured, and to come in kind of his second kind of start, I think it was. What was your thoughts on Colby?
Yeah, no, I was impressed. I actually thought he maybe gave the nod to Ralston just for the experience. But I'm glad that he never, and I'm glad that he went with Donovan. I think it's a vote of confidence just to start him anyway. And he merited it, to be honest, because he played well at Kilmarnock, and he has shown good attributes when he comes in. What I like about him most is his athleticism in comparison to Ralston even. And I think hopefully he's actually played his way into being backup right back when Johnson comes back. I think that's how well he's done. And I think Ralston was fit to play during the week, but that's the manager's assessment and his kind of view on it. And I'm hoping that does bring competition. But the guy himself, just his athleticism, he likes to get up the field. Although I think in the first half he could have done a wee bit more of that, but that might have been just grown into the game. I thought he was stronger in the second half. And he looked, bar one kind of moment that Scales had to cover for him, he looked really assured defensively. And again, it just part of a good unit. And I was speaking to JP the other day about the Scottish players. And I'm all for Scottish players coming in, but the track record of good homegrown Scottish players isn't good in the country in general. And I noticed a stat that the commentator was talking about on Wednesday that the Red Star sold 4 young players last year for a combined 40 million or something, and they were all 18, 19 years of age. So there you go. There's a comparison. A country that not just selling young players but they're playing them. So they played in the Champions League for Red Star last year. They beat Stuttgart 5-1 in the Champions League at home last year. That team, I think they beat Bodo Glimt in the qualifiers last year as well to get into the Champions League. So, and then they sold 4 of the players to clubs in Europe, and that's a comparison of it. We don't see that in Scotland. I think that's where we have got difficulties. It's not just the transfer policy that we have at the moment. We need to improve, but the quality of young players. So bringing Donovan in's great. Bringing through Kieran Tierney and McGregor's and Forrest in the last 10 to 15 years has been great, but it's still not good enough. We need a nucleus of better quality Scottish players coming through into the team to support not just Celtic but teams in Scotland. There's very few teams that a couple of players have went to Italy recently, but it's still your kind of middle of the road teams. It's no high quality, and they've done better, but still it's not in great numbers. So yeah,
we've been touching on that for a while as well. I think with the amount of investment that Celtic and kind of quite a lot of teams across Scotland put into kind of youth development, especially we can only look at it from a Celtic point of view, but we would expect kind of more players to come through and kind of make that impact, whether that be going into the kind of starting 11, into the squad, or making that move for kind of money like Tierney's done. But you're looking at the players that's made a kind of impact in the recent past. You're thinking kind of Tierney, you're thinking Callum McGregor, James Forrest, to a certain degree, maybe Tony Ralston, but I definitely agree with you, Mark. I think that it has to be on a higher level. I think that we need to produce more. But just one of the things you say is that I'll touch on with Daniel as well about Kelechi, that obviously he's come in, fantastic first touch on his goal, I thought. Looked very assured. I know that Maida's really not a striker, but I think that Kelechi gave you that kind of that focal point. Maybe it was that individual that maybe the midfielders would be aiming for. I thought he done well, considering he's not got a lot of kind of match fitness, maybe. And there was a question that came in there as well, Daniel. We'll put to both of you: that should Kelechi start against Hibs on Sunday?
For me, yeah, I think he should start the game. I think he's earned the right to start the game. I don't see him lasting 90 minutes if he does start the game, however, but I do think he has earned that vote of confidence from the manager, because it was a big statement, Brendan making that change at half time, and it was a big gamble as well, because it could have went very wrong, but for us it went very right. So I think Brendan making that change for him has only been a boost for his confidence in him. So for me, yeah, I would start him. Whether the needs changing or that, we can look at that during the game. But for me, I think he's earned the right to start the game at the weekend, because that's 2 major, 3 games, and he's got 2 goals and an assist. So that,
definitely.
like you said, that's what you say, is that's that focal point up front, that number 9, that banker that when that ball goes forward, he's going to be able to actually hold it in.
Please gamble responsibly, everybody. That's something I wouldn't be doing. But the fair play, if it wins, you'll get a good price on that. I would take it. But just your thoughts on that question, Mark. I think majority of Celtic fans, after seeing that goal, would probably say that he should be starting now. What's your thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, I would expect him to start. I thought he only didn't start on Wednesday due to fitness. It was just so that you could utilise him later in the game. So I would expect him to start for 2 reasons. One, he merits it, and 2, just for fitness for him to get 60, 70 minutes and just get another game. I don't think we've got any other strikers like him, and especially at home, we need that type of striker. That's where we have struggled. because players like Maeda, even Johnny Kenny, etc., struggle to get in behind. Although I don't think Hibs will be mega defensive, but they'll still sit in. So it's more difficult where you need your striker to hold the ball up, bring others into play. So it'll be important, especially in home games, because we do struggle at times to kind of break down teams with the kind of runs. So yeah, expect him to start. I'm looking forward to seeing him and just getting fitter and better if he starts anything to go on.
No, definitely. I completely agree with you. So, well, obviously, the headline for today's programme is Celts Uprise for Change. And if nobody's seen, there has been for the fan groups, there has been kind of statements released. I'll just pull this up just now. And it's plans of a silence at the upcoming games. 2 seconds to find that. Aye, there we go, finally. So this is the statement, and for anybody. So basically this is saying, as the Celtic board continues to ignore the concerns of the Celtic support, we're launching a three-match home package which reflects their silence. That'll be the 27th September, which is Sunday upcoming. That's against Hibs. That would be a silence for the first 12 minutes, I'm taking it. Then to progress that, it's the 2nd October at home against Braga, and that's up to 29 minutes. Then the 5th October against Motherwell at home, that's up to 32 minutes. So saying the silences are designed to reinforce the importance of Celtic fans to Celtic Football Club by demonstrating how a silent stadium is in nobody's interest. We hope that the silent package may be called off at any point should reasonable progress be made by Celtic Football Club engaging in credible communication with supporters or there being movement and personnel from the Celtic board. The Celtic board cannot continue to commodify our passion while ignoring our concerns. And this is another wee photo that's coming with it that no sound like silence, and that again is just detailing what the plans for the continued protest may be. So it is, we all knew these kind of things were coming. I think that it's been well publicised within the Celtic fan base, whether that be on social media, that this isn't going away. And personally, in my opinion, rightly so, I think that when we look at the dealings, especially the timings of the dealings that the manager said as well, could it have maybe helped us along the way to get into the Champions League for the qualifiers? I'm not saying the manager and the team need to take responsibility for that as well, because I think that we did have enough to qualify for there. I think that a kind of tie against Kairat Almaty should have been within that team's grasp. I think that we should have been looking to kind of progress for that. It was probably the easiest draw we had. But we're, as Celtic fans as a whole, I think we're just looking for the best possible version of Celtic. We're just looking for, and if there was only problems in the summer there, then so be it. We all kind of one-offs, right? But this is it 7 times in the last 9 qualifiers that we've been woefully prepared to get into these qualifiers, and that's ended up us taking the gamble and ended up no qualifying for these vitally financial kind of Champions League group games. So I think it was all summed up with that original statement that was released by Celtic. I think I heard a metaphor, a simile on a different podcast earlier, and it says Celtic's relationship with the fans is like a dog's relationship with a lamppost, meaning that the dog obviously does something to the lamppost. So I thought that was pretty apt. But I expect, I'll get your thoughts on it just now, Mark. We're looking at these protests continuing. It might be detrimental towards the team, but for me personally, they're professional footballers. I would hope that they could rise above that, but I think I'm looking for kind of long-term change, because we spoke about in the podcast as well that next year it might be quite an overhaul with players. maybe players coming to the end of their cycle, and we're going to need a lot of kind of incomings. Do we trust the hierarchy just now to come in and oversee that overhaul? I don't think so, and that's why I think in the long term there needs to be more communication, and this movement going forward for me, I believe that's completely correct, because we're simply not matching our potential with ambition. And I think that we're running as a business fantastically well. There's no denying that. Credit where credit's due. But running as a football club, we don't want to see spreadsheets on the park. We don't want to see accounts on the park. We want to see quality on the park. And that means if we are getting rid of Kyogo or selling Kyogo or Kun, then we bring in a replacement. We bring in a replacement with similar quality. We're not naive enough to go, we can go out and spend fortunes. But I think just the way we're run just now, these protests are going to continue forward. And it's starting with this one on Sunday, obviously, for 12 minutes. What's your thoughts on these statements and these plans to go forward with these kind of silence protest, Mark? What you think on that matter, mate?
Yeah, and I've seen a few comments just saying that about being mindful of the impact that it can have the team in the pitch. And I'm always mindful of that. However, I think this is, I like the recent statement. I think it's tactical, because the fans are putting it to the board that they don't want to have this silence. They're wanting to hear for the board. So it's a good tactic to put towards. So I know the first one is tomorrow and it's 12 minutes. But they've put it out there straight away to see it. We've got the next 3 games. It's a 3-game package. So we don't need to have these silences. We don't need, especially in
the... Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, I'm getting confused because I was thinking Thursday night was a game.
Yeah. And we don't, so especially Europa game, you know, we're not wanting to sit silent for half an hour into a match, and an important match against a quality side. So, but we've put it to the board that they can break this off. They can just communicate, which we've all been asking for, as you say. Just communication would be a start, a big start, because that's the main gripe at the moment. It is the silence. You know, that's where it feels like the lamppost, you know, because they're just not communicating with us. So it sounds like arrogance. It feels arrogant. It feels dismissive. So we're just looking for communication, and then some sort of, as you say, like, what is the plan, you know? If it was, as you said, Alan, for next season, that we have to plan ahead. We want to keep reserves. So they did do that. I was listening to you the other night, actually, what came into my head. We were in a fortunate position to do that when Ange Postecoglou came in. You know, we gave him a good chunk of 40 million to spend. And we've done that with Brendan Rodgers as well. We've given him a good bit of money to spend. So it has, as you say, business side-wise, it has reflected on the park to an extent, because we were able to build the team that could compete with Bayern Munich last year. But why has that just been pulled from under the feet, you know? That's what we want to know. And that's
as well, that's more important. I think the manager stressed that as well. Like the timing of the money that's spent, like it's all in hindsight, so nobody can say if Taneke and Iheanacho had been brought in before the Kairat Almaty game, would we have qualified? For me, I believe it would give us a better opportunity of qualifying, but there's no definite that we would have. So I'm looking at the timing and that they're doing business. Are we organised as a modern day kind of? I'm not going to say elite, because it's quite the opposite of that. A modern day football club that operates so that we're in the best opportunity, we're in the best place to have that opportunity to progress. So would you think it's maybe a timing thing as well, with the way we're actively pursuing transfers, that maybe is frustrating a lot of the fan base as well?
It is, no, and the managers refer to that. It's the timing of investment. So, and we all know that most of these campaigns, the qualifying campaigns, we've been underprepared. Although we can have arguments about the Almaty game with regards to quality, but it was the actions of the board. They're not getting the players in quick enough that ultimately is set the rot in, and it's the timing of investment. But for me, just in the summer alone, it's and Brendan got asked about it again today, the fact that we're left lopsided in attack. You know, we've got 3 left wingers. And we've got the only 2 right wingers we have is Yang and Forrest, a guy that we were trying to punt to Birmingham, and a guy that's not scored 1 goal and handful of assists in the last 2 seasons. You know, and now we've got 3 players that play left wing. And Brendan didn't really have an answer today. He says we've got to deal with that, but then he referred to the transfer window, saying it's put us in this situation. So never mind timing, we can't even get the personnel recruitment right for the actual team in the squad, which is criminal for a team of our stature and try to be playing Champions League football. We no replaced right winger, not even a replaced right winger, just a right wing option. And then an overloaded left option. So you're spending $5 million in Balikwisha, but effectively you couldn't start on Wednesday because he can't play right wing. So as the manager alluded to in the Partick game or the Kilmarnock game when he started there. So just not good at all. So timing and just preparation of the squad in general. To leave a manager the resources that we've got and being able to attract, but that kind of squad. However, I think he can work with it, and there will be solutions. So I'm not going to say it should be massively detrimental, but should never be in that situation, you know. So the timing of investment, but also just the kind of the squad personnel as well.
No, 100% agree. Daniel, what's your thoughts? What are you feeling about this proposed silence? Is it necessary? Is this going to have the desired effect in the long term? What's your overall thoughts on it, mate?
For me, I would say it's necessary at this juncture because we've seen it for many years now. The board like to commercialise and advertise the atmosphere that the fans bring. And then when it comes time for them to talk to us about what's happening, there's radio silence. So the fans are now going, well, you're not getting that atmosphere that you keep advertising and you keep promoting. Because, like we said, it's been run expertly as a business, but that's not what it says on the front door. It says Celtic Football Club on the front door, no Celtic business. So for me, it's vital, and I think it was a matter of time. Everybody knew silences like this were coming, but the difference is this time, like Mark mentions there, it's been put to the board. We don't want to do this, so yous can stop this at any time by talking to us. It's whether the board actually go and do that. So it's in their court, whereas previously it's just been silence altogether.
It's a bit of reverse psychology. I see that's a great point that kind of Mark made, that we're putting that on, that this doesn't have to be the case. This can be corrected if the right things are put into place, whether that be communication, etc. But no, I definitely agree, Daniel. I believe that it's necessary. I don't believe that this is going to make a great deal of difference as one point. But I think when you look at us the fans standing outside the stadium in the game a couple of weeks ago, when you're looking at if there's less tickets sold, you're looking at the next 3 games where there's going to be silences. For me, Mark, I'm seeing that as an accumulation of things that eventually is going to put pressure on the hierarchy. I think when it's not going to be a short-term kind of fix. I think that this is going to continue and continue and continue. And I'm under no illusion that one part of this is going to go, we'll just leave, we'll get our coats, etc. But I think the more pressure that's heaped upon the Celtic hierarchy with these small things that are happening, I believe it will implement change. I believe that it'll get to a point that there's so much kind of publicity regarding this, that the Celtic fans, if we keep up this kind of movement for change, then I believe there will be some sort of change. It's just, worst case scenario, it's just downright disrespectful for, first of all, the statement they put out, and then second of all, no response to the open letter. So I think that there is only one way forward for the fan base as a whole and the supporters groups, etc. And you do need to make a stand. I think you look at it isn't solved in the first day, but do you see this? Is this a move in the right direction, Mark, for movement for change? Is this somewhere, this uprising? If Celtic fans continue to do this, will that accumulation of things, will that eventually heap pressure on the hierarchy and implement change? Will there be communication, etc.? What's your thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, I think you've got to say fair play to the support, Alan, in this. again, I was a bit apprehensive at the beginning. I just don't want disruption on the park, because we all know that brings pain and discomfort. However, no, this is something that the fans are going to follow through, and they're clearly showing that. And I think it's right. And even the statement today, I think it is very clever and tactical to force the issue. You know, the issue is at the moment, so the fans are coming out and saying to the board that you all need to go and we need to get new folk in, and that's that. They're just saying to them, look, we need to get answers for you. We're in a position. We've gave you the questions, so we want communication. And then they're even putting to them now that we're going to have silences, but you can stop these silences. So just hypothetically, a couple of weeks down the line, if they still don't communicate and we are silent on Thursday and we don't get a good result, they've got to take their blame, the share of the blame, because they're giving up. The support are giving them opportunities to have some sort of communication.
It's smart in that way that they're putting the emphasis onto the hierarchy. So that I can see that. I think that's a fantastic point. But it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, this is the first game back since the kind of significant protests have started. This is the first game back at Celtic Park. It has been quite a while. I think it was international break, and then there's been a few away games. So this is the first game back at Celtic Park since this. The open letter, the statement, it was just absolutely diabolical. So what do you? I'll start off with you, Daniel. What would you expect to happen at the weekend in the game against Hibs? What kind of uproar did you see it as a kind of? It's going to be a toxic atmosphere. What do you fully expect during this game?
I think early doors there will be a lot of mixed fans, because I know these silences haven't gone down well with majority of the fans. Well, not majority, some fans. So it's created a wee bit of division now that we're moving into the silence. So I think during the silence there will be quite a lot of fans joining in, quite a lot of fans not. But I think everyone is in agreement that they need to go. So I do think to start off, it will be quite a toxic, like aggressive atmosphere towards the board, not towards anyone on the pitch, towards the board. I would not be surprised if we see a display as well. But it's things like this that need to happen, because I mean, how many times have we seen them pan the camera when the fans are either chanting or displaying, and they're just sitting there on their phones, or they don't care. They've shown us that over the years already, and now they're putting even more effort into showing us how little they don't care about us. So for me, it's something that needs to happen. But don't get me wrong, I don't want to see any impact on the team, but these guys are professionals. This is their job. If you can't play in a hostile atmosphere, I don't want to be disrespectful, but you shouldn't be a professional football player if you can't hack playing in a no so great atmosphere or a quieter atmosphere, because no every game you play as a footballer is at Celtic Park. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's processes there, so these guys should be used to it.
It doesn't help, obviously, but I think you need to look at the bigger picture here. I think the Celtic fans, this is just my opinion. Of course, this isn't the whole channel, but my opinion would be you look at the bigger picture. As I say, I've touched on the part where the recruitment next season is going to be absolutely instrumental. I think it's going to be probably one of our biggest transfer windows in a long time when you look at maybe the cycle of the squad. So I'm looking at it in the bigger picture that, yeah, the players might feel that, but how much, put it to you, Mark, how much are we willing to kind of sacrifice for the long term? Like, what do you think, Mark? What do you think the atmosphere is going to be like at the weekend? But how toxic is it going to be? It's obviously it's been quite a few weeks since we've been back at Celtic Park, so I think that this anger and this toxicity is maybe maybe accelerated because we've not had a chance to come back to kind of Celtic Park and release that anger, release that kind of how upset, etc. you've been. How do you think it's going to be, mate?
Yes, I was at the Livingston game when there was sack the board chance, and there was a bit of division. You know, there was a few supporting the area I was in anyway, just saying that support the team, which I get. I don't know if it will be toxic. I think it's no as raw now from the Almaty defeat, but I think the support are seeing that the fans are unified and getting answers here. They're not going to let up. A couple of good victories and the team playing really well again isn't going to change anything. And I think that's where the fans will take a bit of kind of comfort and focus, and hopefully be able to separate, continuing what we need to do, but genuinely supporting the team. Because I think we do have to be mindful, regardless of the situation, the team is kind of in a mini transitional period. It's got a couple of new players in that need to kind of bed in and become better. So, and there are circumstantial situations in the team, like Dyson's situation, etc. A couple of players that have maybe been there a wee bit of time that might not have the same appetite, but we've got to try and support the team as best as we can and be understanding that is the situation. I just hope that the fans don't. That's where I think it can get toxic if there is a couple of poor results. So, for example, if we get beaten Wednesday, I think it would have been more toxic tomorrow. I think the fans, but that is it fair to take it all out in the team, and then eat into the kind of the confidence of the side that a couple of new players coming into the team. I appreciate that they should be able to handle that, but this is different circumstances and just unhappy supporters at performances or results. This is a wholesale thing, but I agree with you. It has to be that. I think it has to be for the bigger picture. So. Yeah. Maybe if it disrupts the team for the short term and the season isn't great, is it for the longer term strategy of the club and the benefit of the club? Yes, I think that's what the fans need to have their kind of focus on, which I think they do. I think this isn't going to go away, and it's in motion, and it will continue to be.
I completely agree. I think there is a distinct possibility that it could be detrimental towards the squad, but. For me, I think the bigger picture aspect to that is that we need to look where we're going as a club going forward. I think we're looking at no qualifying for the Champions League, so that now makes our route towards any European competition next year and the next few years, it makes it far more difficult. So is it going to get to a stage that we're not qualifying for Europe, or it's the Conference League we're trying to qualify for? I know that's a while down the road, but we need to look at that bigger picture, and we need to make sure we're just representing the best version of Celtic that our club possibly can. So I'll be interested to see how we go on at the weekend and the fans' reaction, as I say, because that's maybe it's been we've not been back there for a while, so the fans have had maybe a wee bit of time to stew on that matter, so it'll be interesting to see, but I will see what happens. We'll come off at that point now. I'm sure we'll be talking about kind of the board, the hierarchy and transfers, etc. and most podcasts, because it seems to be kind of one of the biggest stories that is affecting my club at present. So we'll go to the Hibs game on Saturday now, as I kind of made the mistake earlier on the podcast. But it's back the team, but the bit right after that, I don't want to say it. But look at Hibs, Daniel, we'll go to the start. I think that you were looking at Hibs last season, you were starting to see maybe improving at the end. You've seen them, they started after this season pretty decent. They qualified the first round, wasn't it? Was it the Conference League? Conference League qualifiers. It was a 2-8 draw against Falkirk. They were 2-0 up the last game. I think they're sitting 4th in the league just now. Hibs have always been a relatively kind of difficult task for Celtic. So we've had games against them that's not really went to plan at times. So What are you expecting for Hibs? Are you expecting them to come to Celtic Park with a low block, or are you expecting them to kind of play a wee bit more expansive than some of the other teams in the Scottish Premiership?
I think they'll come and play a more defensive side of it, because the thing with Hibs this season is going forward, they look sharp, they're scoring goals, but their defence has still got question marks over it. Like we said, 2-0 up against Falkirk, game ends 2 each. So defensively, I think there is still question marks over Hibs. So I think they'll put more of a focus on that defensively, because we've seen in recent games, obviously, with Kelechi coming into the side, it's a bit different, and Netke as well. We've seen in recent games that sometimes we do appear a bit toothless going forward. So I think they'll try and play into that. They'll put quite an emphasis on their defending, and then maybe try and catch us on the break. But we've seen how assured our defence has been this season. So I don't think they're going to come to Celtic Park and try and play it for the back and go for it, because Celtic's defence had a good start to the season. So I think they're going to sit in and try and frustrate us as much as possible and feed into that atmosphere that may be there by playing difficult football. So that's how I see that going. But yeah, I don't think they're going to come and play expansive football. I think they're going to try and frustrate and grow into that maybe negative atmosphere that's already around the stadium.
Yeah, no, they have got players. Kind of, you're looking at the forward line. I think Martin Boyle's always been that kind of dangerous player with the pace. There's been a lot said about the young striker Kieran Bowie in it. Obviously scores that fantastic goal as well. But just that same question to yourself, Mark. How do you expect kind of Hibs to set up at Celtic Park?
Yeah, I think they will set up kind of on the back foot. I don't think teams have a choice against us. We're that good in possession. So even Red Star during the week couldn't really get an attacking game going against us. So they carved out a couple of half chances, but I think that's where we are really competent defensively. We don't seem to be kind of unsettled against sides as such anymore. And I think Hibs will be the same, so we'll predominantly have most of the ball and kind of go at them. And they have got a couple of decent options attacking-wise and on the counter. Boyle said he did score a good goal last week. I watched the first half last week, but it was given as a handball. And I watched a few other games in Europe, so they've got something about them. Although
that was very questionable. So
and I think that, but with Hibs finished the season really strongly last year. They went on a great run under Gray. And I fancied them to start the season well, and I think they kind of have, but Europe's taken a lot out of them. And I think you've seen that with maybe Kilmarnock last year, the year before. These couple of qualifiers, it takes its toll on the kind of thin Scottish squads that these teams have. So I think they're kind of suffering for that now. And I expect us to be kind of comfortable tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to also to a couple of home debuts, so it'll be. So Netke being one, Kelechi and Balikwisha as well. So they've not played at home yet. So hopefully that's where we can start to find our feet midway front and just kind of come together better as a side with a couple of home games under our belts. So, but yeah, I think that Hibs will just the usual kind of compact, not as kind of defensive as other teams, I don't think. So even Livingston a few weeks ago were just, completely backs to the wall. So they've got a wee bit more about them, Hibs, which might help us. And it tends to do that against Hibs at home, because they do have a wee bit more about them and they come out at times. So that's where we normally get reasonable games against them. And they don't seem to trouble us too much. But yeah, I think it's a good fixture to have tomorrow, to be honest.
Yeah, no, completely. Do you think the negative kind of atmosphere possibly that might be there, obviously the silence for the first 12 minutes, could other teams kind of feed off of that? Personally, I'd think if I was the opposition manager, I'd be trying to feed off that. I'd be saying to the players, look, they might not be the players back, the support, but it is going to be a slightly different atmosphere than we're used to when we go to Celtic Park. Let's try and take advantage of that, because we could, if we can get an early goal, we could maybe make that even worse. So I think for me, I think we need to be. We have been solid at the back, obviously this start of the season. I think that shows with the little goals that we have conceded. So I think it's just a case of we need to start fast for me. I don't know what you guys think, but I think obviously the players could counteract this possibility and negative atmosphere. They just go out and kind of blowing Hibs away, and I'd love to see that. I don't know what you guys think. Go with you, Daniel, first. What you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think with other teams in Scotland, we've already seen so far in Kilmarnock, the interview with the striker. He says, listen, Celtic aren't in a good place right now with their division. So they're going to look to feed off of that. So I think teams are, they're aware of what's happening. It's just up to them whether they choose to feed off of that. But I would not be surprised if they are. But yeah, I do think the best way for Celtic to counteract any possibility of a negative atmosphere is to just come out and perform, start fast, start that attacking, strong possession football that we know in recent years. And it's a great opportunity because we've had some good results against Hibs over the past couple of years at home. So yeah, that would be the best way to counteract that. But I think also if you look on the flip side of the coin, if Hibs do manage to frustrate and sit in and that atmosphere starts to grow, that will, I don't want to say benefit them, but they'll feed off of that because any team would. So the longer that the game goes on, the more confident they'll start to become, and then maybe they will look to become a bit more expansive, which could feed into our horns. So 6 and half a dozen. But aye, for me, I do think they're going to look to frustrate us.
Aye. Somebody's battling into me in the comments, so I will carry on with that. No, right, we'll touch on what I was going to say earlier. There's been a lot in the press, obviously, and a lot within social media. Different comments about Dyson Maeda. Has his head been turned? Is he fully committed? Should he be playing? But what's your thoughts? For me personally, I think he's still professional enough, and I think he's one of our best options in the wing positions. Personally, I'd be playing him. But are you feeling the same? Do you think he should be taken out of the team? There is a quite a divide within the opinion of the Celtic support if he should be playing or not, based on the circumstances that he was maybe denied the move during the summer. He's maybe started the season not to the best of his ability. He's been kind of off form, but how are you feeling? Should Dyson be starting at the weekend?
Yes, I listened to Brendan earlier talk about it in a bit of length, and he was saying that Dyson is upset, and he says it's and he's maybe subconsciously just can't get back to form again at the moment because of what he's been through. And he just says he's a human being at the end of the day. You know, he's obviously had his sights set in the move, and it's not happened. However, he did then say that he's got to kind of get over that and get his head back in the game, and he expects him to. And so they are. To be honest, I think he is just going through. I think he's been going through the period for quite a wee bit of time. Players do lose for him as well. He had an exceptional season last year. Yeah, he's a quality player. He's contributed to so much to us, and he's improving for me all the time up until this kind of turn of events. So, but the way forward for all parties concerned is for Dyson to get back playing well again, so that if he does want to move on, then he gets his move and the team benefits in the meantime. And somebody mentioned it in the pod the other night as well. We did play right wing under Ange when Jota was left wing, you know, so he is probably the best right wing option that we've got at the moment by some distance. So I would get him back in there. I would get him right wing, you know, if he's going to continue in the left, unless he can switch to the right and we can get Balikwisha out in the left, then that might be an option. But if not, then you've got to get Dyson back playing to his best of his capabilities, whether it be right wing, left wing, or striker. We need him. We need his pressing. We need as long as he's here. But then he'll need to do that as well, because if he continues in the form that he's in, he doesn't recapture what he's got, he might not have any options come January or next summer. So he's got a World Cup place to play for as well. So he'd be best trying to get his head in. But genuinely, I think he's a decent guy. I think he's just a ton of events. I'm not one of these fans that think that we owed him the move or anything like that. It's unfortunate. We could have managed it better. However, we did give him a new contract a season or two ago, so he didn't need to sign that. He wasn't anywhere near the player he was now before he signed that contract. So he does owe Celtic quite a wee bit that way, but I respect that we should have moved him on and granted him his move and got someone in before that. But it's no happened, and that's football, so we have to draw a line, get him back in the team, get him playing, but get him his head back in the game. And Brendan said today that he expects that to happen, so do I. Might take a couple of more games to do so, but we'll get there.
I think you look at Dyson Maida for the last kind of few years that he's been at Celtic. I think his attitude's always been tremendous. I don't necessarily blame him for going out publicly, because if you've been promised something and that was going back quite a number of months, if you've been promised something that you're working that's not really happened, I don't know what other steps you're going to take, possibly. Yeah. So I think he's only human, and I think it's obviously had an effect on his performances. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I think he has got the temperament, and I think he has got the professionalism that I think he will come back in, and I think he will start getting back up to where we know his performances are capable of. So for me, I think it's a no-brainer to play him, because when you're giving me the option of Dyson Maida that's maybe had his head turned, or playing Yang, then for me it's a no-brainer. It's just like you should even get to the Y out in the Yang, and then it's Dyson Maida. That should be. But what's your thoughts on it, Daniel? Should Dyson be playing for the start at the weekend? How are you feeling about the matter?
I don't think he should be up front. But like Mark says, the pressing that he brings to the team is vital. So I would like to see him back out on the wing. But I don't think he should be starting up front. I think Kelechi has proved enough and done enough to be given that nod to start up front. So I would like to see Dyson back on the wing if he is to play, because his pressing is vital. But it's a good opportunity for Brendan to show us where his head's at in the whole situation. Is he going to keep this mentality of, well, he knows what he's got today?
I think as well, sorry, you've just I've thought of something there, Daniel, saying that. I think Dyson's, I know he's played there in the past up front, right? But I don't think he's a proper striker. I've said that all along. I think he's only been put there out of necessity. Obviously, we saw Kyogo, there wasn't a replacement. We had Adam Ida that wasn't really setting the head of the light. This year, we were sold Adam Ida. Yamada is obviously no fancied. Kenny, we don't know what you think. Kelechi's come in, but he's maybe not up to that match fitness. So are we continuing to see Dyson Maida in that front spot out of necessity? Do you think? I think personally, Brendan would rather play him on the wing. But I think it's just been forced because of the options that we've got to play maybe Maida through the middle. Do you think that, lads?
Yeah, definitely. Because we've seen, if we had a competent striker in the squad, Dyson would be on the left. So I think when Kyogo left, everybody got really excited at the front three of Jota, Maeda through the middle, and Kuhn on the right-hand side. And I think those players round about him definitely benefited him. And he had a fantastic season playing through the middle. So I think Brendan's kind of for me, he's given him a bit of a chance of, right, well, you've done really well there, so let's keep playing you there. But yeah, definitely, I think Brendan would prefer him to be on the wing. But I do think he is also giving him an opportunity to go, well, try and change my mind. And yeah, for me, I don't think he will play through the middle at the weekend. I don't really want to see him through the middle, especially after midweek, because for me I don't think we've seen Dyson offside that many times in one game ever. So yeah, but I do think he is a vital part of the Celtic forward line in that pressing aspect, and I would like to see him back on the wing because, like you say, Alan, I don't think I can watch Yang on the wing again. I don't think I have it in me, to be honest. And that's no disrespect. That's just there's evidence there, and we're all frustrated with it. So, like you say, if there's an option here, maybe Stroppy, Maeda, or Yang, I'm going to take Maeda.
I want you to touch upon that, Mark, and coming up to the end of the show. So I touch on that and maybe your predicted lineup and a predicted scoreline for you.
Yeah, just on Dyson, and I don't know if he should be starting at the moment because of his. Brendan said today about his situation. So, but I think longer term, I do think he's a good striker. I think he can play striker. I watch plenty of other strikers in football, and if you look at that Hoyland at Man United last year for 70 million, he couldn't trap a bag of cement. So we've got a player that can play the number 9 role. He might not be in the Kelechi mould that he can hold up. He's got good link-up play, but he's got attributes that he can be a good number 9. And I think that's, again, what we need to utilise and use if we need to, because what if Kelechi gets injured? So who do we go to?
Maeda, you'd say.
So would you rather have... yeah. And he's a good option. He's played that role well. He played in Munich, centre-forward. He created the Kuhn goal. So he's got the attributes to play striker. It might not be again, maybe the number 9s that we're thinking of years gone by, holding it up well, bringing players into play. There's no many of these strikers left anymore. Yeah. There's no at all. You've seen it with either. So I think, he's no brilliant. He doesn't take every opportunity, but read stats about Kyogo this season, been missing the most chances in the Championship. So again, I think you've got to compare and see where you are with these type of strikers. So, but it's what's going to benefit the team. We need them back. We need them playing well, regardless of where he can play, because we need the option. But we're not in a position to drop, maybe in the next couple of games. But we've not got a strong enough squad. We've got a lot of tough games coming up. 3 games in the next couple of weeks. So we need every player. Yeah, and we've not got a squad of players that are on form. If anything, I think we've only got a couple of players that are on form just now. So it's needs must. In that respect, but tomorrow I would expect. Well, I've not got a team right this year. They've kind of chopped and changed it up.
This is the one. Go on, be confident.
I've not even thought about it, but I would expect Casper to be in goals. Donovan, KT, who I thought actually was all right during the week. I've not really mentioned him. I thought his cutback for McGregor was really good. I thought he was coming on. No up to full speed or anything like that, but he's getting there, so I'd expect him to be at the back with Scales. Carter Vickers possibly, although maybe rested, and bring in Murray tomorrow, possibly, with Braga in mind on Thursday. The midfield 3, we didn't even get to talk about that. I think it's problematic at the moment. For me, Carter Vickers, Hatate and Dyson are 3 of the players that are maybe in that cycle. I don't know if I've got the appetite at all, never mind transfer speculation. So I don't know if he'll mix it up tomorrow and bring in McKibben. He's done that before in the league games, which has worked well. So maybe get McKibben in for Hatate. So McGregor, McKibben, Negren, and he'll start Taneki in the left, Kelechi centre forward, and I think he'll start Dyson in the right. I think he'll go with that. So, although he did speak about him today, if he doesn't, then possibly Yang with a reasonable bench. So yeah, that's what I think.
No, that's fantastic. I can see the definite logic behind that, Mark. What's your thoughts, Daniel? You similar, or you bringing in the Wilderness?
I think in that back line we will see Casper Schmeichel in goals. I think Colby Donovan will be given the nod again. I think we'll see KT, Carter Vickers, Scales, but I don't think Carter Vickers will play the full game. I do think he will come off if we get in a comfortable position, just with Braga in mind. I think same with Kieran Tierney. I think in that midfield 3, like Mark says, something's got to mix up there. And for me, I think it will be either the addition of Luke McKeown or maybe Arnie Engels. I'm hoping it's Arnie Engels. But I don't think Cal McGregor will start every game. For me, he's captain. He will. But I do think it will be a bit different in the other two positions. I think Rio Hatate will keep his place, but I don't see Nygren being a starter at the weekend. I think it'll either be Engels or McKeown just to bring that bit of energy and physicality, because we've spoke about it here. Like Engels brings a bit more athleticism than Nygren. So for me, it would be Arnie Engels. And then in the front three, I think Kelechi will start up front. On the left will be Sebastian Tenetke, and I think we'll see James Forrest start on the right-hand side.
That's another. I think it's difficult to kind of predict a definite start lineup with the amount of games that's going on just now. I like Mark's point there with the bringing in Dane Murray. I know you see Carter Vickers kind of clutching a few times down near his knee, so I don't know if he's 100% just now. So it could be an option that Dane Murray comes in, Carter Vickers sits out with the view of kind of coming in against Braga. So that could be an option, but I personally, for me, if they're all kind of fit, I've not had a chance to look through all kind of Brendan's interview at present, but I would go with Schmeichel. I think Colby Donovan's done enough to kind of keep his place there. I think if Carter Vickers is fit, he stays in. Scales and Kieran Tierney. I think it'll be Callum McGregor. I think he'll keep Rio Hatate in. I think he'll bring in Arnie Engels in place of Nygren. I think that'll mix up the midfield. I could actually see the possibility of taking out Nygren and Hatate, because I don't think the two of them have maybe been offering as much as we need in the middle of the park there. But I think it will be Callum McGregor, Hatate and Engels, who was basically last year's middle three. And like Mark, I think it will be Kelechi through the middle, and whatever sides they might rotate sides, etc. But I think the Warriors will be Maida and Tenetke. So I'll go for a wee 3-0 victory. I think we should have enough with Hibs. I think I'm looking for more of a performance wise. I think this season we've not really put in the best of performance. I'd like to see a 90-minute performance, even if that was just a 1 or 2-0 victory. We put in a performance that we're all going, right, we can see we're definitely moving in the right direction here. We can see that these performances are getting back up to a level we know that the Celtic players are capable of. So I would like to see that tomorrow, but obviously the most important part is the result. But we'll finish it up there, lads. But I just want to thank you guys first of all. Thank you guys. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Daniel, for joining us today to talk about everything Celtic. And just for everybody that's tuned in, I hope everyone has a great weekend, and that would obviously be helped by Celtic having a kind of positive result. So and until I think we're back on Monday night, we'll be back on, I think, at 8 o'clock. So again, guys, much love and thanks very much, and hail for me.
Cheers.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura!